So let me explain the project until now what we have done. We are building a credit risk model that will predict whether a customer is going to be defaulter or not. We have used variables like number of late payments, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month late payments, number of real estate loans, number of open credit cards and loans, number of dependents, number of what else we have used? We have also used number of real estate loans, number of times 1 month late, 2 month late, 3 month late. We have used all these variables for making the prediction about the target variable, which we are going to build the model. As part of data exploration, we looked at their frequency table and we found what are all the issues. We have listed them down. Next step, what is the next step? Once you're done with the discrete variables, you will go to what? You will go to continuous variables. Let me list down the continuous variables. What are the continuous variables in the data? One is monthly income. So how do you describe or how do you have a look at the continuous variables? How do you do the exploration of the continuous variables? So let me write it down. Continuous variables exploration. How do you explore continuous variables? By using
by looking quantile function.
percentiles. Quantile is a function name in Python, but the actual concept is percentiles. Okay.
Percentile.
Because if you go to some other programming language, maybe a different function name is used. Maybe the function itself is percentile in Excel, like that. So
Okay.
as a shortcut, you can also look at the box plot, but I usually generally suggest directly go for the percentiles. But let me also do the box plot. I would say from matplotlib import or simply import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. plt dot boxplot monthly utilization is one of the variable. By looking at the box plot, is it evident that this variable is having outliers?
Yes, sir.
If there are no outliers, the box will appear properly. Let's say if I take a variable like age, at least the box will be looking decent. But if the box plot appears like this, that means this particular variable has outliers. A better way to look at that is you write util monthly utilization underscore percentiles. Usually monthly utilization, this is monthly utilization percentage. It should be between 0% to 100%. It should be always between 0 to 1. So, but if I try to see utilization underscore percentiles equal to loans underscore monthly utilization dot quantile 0.1 comma 0.2 comma maybe let us see whether I can take it to the next line 0.2 comma 0.3 0.4 40 percentile 50 percentile 60 percentile 70. Are you also looking at the code wherever I am executing? Are you also finding it or are you struggling to find it? All of you, are you following me inside the code file?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Where
sir.
whatever code that I'm writing, are you also looking at that piece of the code?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Maybe
Yes, sir.
slightly different, but overall, so after 90 percentile, I'll try to look at 91, 92, and so on. So I can see that minimum value is 0 beyond 90% of the data. 90, let me look at 97, 98, 99, 91, 0.93, 93 percentile, etc., etc. So I can see that above 97%, or in fact 97.1%, that is where the problem comes in, 97.5 or something. So I would say roughly 3% of the data is having issues. Roughly 97% of the data is clean. 3% of the data has some issues. 97% of the data is clean. I would say this is roughly. Strictly speaking, more than 97 and slightly somewhere around 2.2 or something is having issues. The next continuous variable is monthly income. As usual, I will look at the percentiles or the box plots. Monthly income box plot doesn't even appear. There's something wrong with this. Let us see, even before that, there is one bigger issue in monthly income that I found is missing values. Okay. Usually if there are missing values, I think box plot doesn't show the box plot. So let me say wherever monthly income is not null, I would like to store that in some other data. I would say non-null monthly income. Just to draw this box plot, I'm doing it. Wherever monthly income is null equal to false, that means it is not null. That means wherever it is available. So if I try to draw the box plot, then I will see that there are outliers. So outliers are there. So this is a variable that has two issues. One is outlier issue. The other one is missing value issue. Let me get the count of missing values. Count of missing values. How many missing values are there? So let me write this code instead of reusing it. How do you count the missing values? I will write loans data dot is null dot sum. That is the count of missing values in the whole loans data. If I want it only for income, monthly income, that should do 29,731. If you want to know the percentage of this, divide by overall length of the variables. So 19%, 19.8%, 20% missing values are there. Now that is a very big deal. 20% missing, or let me call it exactly 19.8% of the data is missing in monthly income. Now that is a very big deal, isn't it? A lot of data is missing. Are there any other continuous variables left? I think one is debt ratio. Let me have a look at the debt ratio. Debt ratio. Again, the same box plot, you will have a look at it. There are outliers in it. What is other variable that is continuous? Let me check the column names. Loans data. Monthly utilization done. Debt ratio done. Monthly income done. Are we done with all the variables? Yes, every variable is done now. Once you are done with the variable exploration, once you make a note of all the issues, you will start the data cleaning. Data cleaning process, one by one, one by one. So let me start with monthly utilization first. What is the issue in it? 97% is clean, 97% clean, 3% issues, 3% issues. So in this case, what do we do? If 97% is clean, 3% of the data is issues. If the variable is continuous, what do we do?
Yeah, again, deal down.
Replace with me.
We replace it with median. This 3% of the data, we replace it with median. That is also known as imputation. So replace with median. What is it also known as? Also known as
Measure of
Aka.
central tendency.
It is known as imputation technique,
Okay.
isn't it? Replacing with median is imputation technique. So first calculate the median utilization. How much is the median utilization? 0.15. So what I'll do here is I will take the loans data. Now I will not disturb the original variable. I will try to create a new variable called utilization underscore new, that is equal to monthly utilization original variable. Wherever utilization is greater than 1, I would like to replace that with median utilization. So what is the advantage of this? This utilization new is a variable that is cleaned now. If I try to see the quantiles on it, and if I try to see what are all the various quantiles, or if I try to use a variable called or function called describe, then it will print the basic quantiles like count, mean, 25 minimum is 0 percentile, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, 75 percentile, maximum. So minimum, maximum means 0 to 1. So util underscore new is now cleaned. It is between 0 to 1 now. There is no issue that is present in this variable. It looks perfectly fine. Now the next variable that we should clean is number of times 30 to 59 days past due but not worse. So that I usually call it as 1 month late frequency. So I would say cleaning of number of times 30 to 59, 30 to 59. DPD. DPD stands for days past due. We can simply call it as 1 month late frequency. So the issue that we have seen earlier, it has variables like it has values like 96 and 98. We have to replace these 96 and 98. So usually the way that we do it is we create a cross table. So what do we do is we will create a cross tab is equal to cross tab with the target variable. So you will take the 30 to 59 days past due variable versus the target variable. You create a cross tab. Just directly looking at this cross tab, the numbers won't help us. We need to somehow get the percentage of these values. So what I'll do is I'll try to take this cross tab. I'll try to get the row wise percentages, row wise percentage. So what I'll do is I will say cross tab, the original cross tab. What is the cross tab name? Cross tab itself. Dot apply function, apply lambda lambda x. Then what I would like to do is x divided by sum of x, like x dot sum. That means the overall row sum across each and every row. So basically, I want to do it in each and every row, and I'm going column by column. This column plus this column, this column plus this column, this way. So if you're going by column, after this column, if you're going to this column, if you're moving the axis in the column, then you would say axis equal to 1. Then if I try to see the output comes like this. Let me put a round function around it, maybe until 2 decimals. Does that work? It does. So 96 and 98, especially 98 is the one that is having number of records very high. So a bad rate of 54%, which is matching with a bad rate of 6, which is 53%. So if I have to replace 98 with any number, I will replace with 6. And 96 also I will replace with 6 only, because 96 has only how many records? 5 records. So there's no extra analysis that is done. So 96 and 98 will be replaced with 6. In fact, anything above 13 or anything above 12, I would like to replace it with 6, or anything above 24, I would like to replace it with 6. So the way that I do it is I will create a new variable again, that is number of times 30 to 59 days past due new. This is the variable that I will create. It will be a copy of the original variable, but whenever that is greater than 13, wherever it is greater than 13, 13 is the max allowed limit that I'm allowing, I would like to replace everything with 6. Number of times days past due should be inside these quotes. Now if I try to see number of times 30 to 59 days past due dot value underscore counts, I will have everything between 0 to 13. So this is one type of treatment. If you have a discrete variable, you compare it with the target and do the imputation based on the target. If you have a continuous variable, directly do the imputation. Let us see the third type of cleaning. Now this is done when you have very less number of portion that is having issues. If you have very high portion that is having issues, for example, if you take monthly income, how much was issues in that? Monthly income has what issues? How much was the issue?
Null values were
19.
19.8%.
So which is like 20% is the issue. Can I say like that? 20% was the issue. 20% missing values were there, and the remaining 80% was clean data. So which is you know, a very big cause of concern. It's not a small deal. Do you agree? It is slightly difficult, okay,
Yes.
to just replace that. I don't think we should just replace this 20% directly. You can replace, you should replace. That's when only you can use that variable. But you should also do one more extra job. What is it? You will create
Flag
monthly
variable.
income new. You will
You would
also
have
Yes.
create or a flag or somehow
flag
pass
this.
on this message that 20% was missing by creating a flag variable. So both the steps that we have to take here, we have to take 2 steps. What are the 2 steps? One is creating a flag variable. The other one is imputation with median. So I would say flag variable, monthly income indicator. I'm putting everywhere 1. Wherever it is null, I'm keeping it 0. So that way you have zeros, 29,000 ones. So this is the flag variable. You will also do one more thing. What is that? Imputation. Have we discussed all this very much in depth in the classroom? Do you remember that? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
All of this we have gone through. Right now, I'm assuming that you already have attended the session. That's why you're following it. Otherwise, if you're not able to follow this, we must look at the data exploration, data validation, data cleaning session. Then only we should come to it. Okay. First, grasp as much as possible. If you're not able to follow this, that means you can go through the data cleaning session. Almost it was a 3-hour session where we discussed the logic behind everything that we are doing it here. So I'm taking monthly income as monthly income new. Wherever it is null, I'm replacing that with median. Now you see that there are no null values in this monthly income. So if I try to see what is the loans data, monthly income, instead of describe, I will say is null dot sum. Is null will give me true, false, true, false, true, false. If I want to sum up all the truths, that will give us the count of missing values. So null values are 0. No null values are there. So instead of one monthly income variable, I will be using 2 monthly income variables. Let's go to the next variable. Next variable is age. Age was described as a discrete variable, but we could not get a lot of it. So let us treat it as a continuous variable and try to see it. So I would say loans data, age variable dot quantile. And our standard quantiles is what I will look at. Maybe I will copy paste the code from the previous quantile. Yep, this is the one that I would like to take. So I'm looking at the quantiles for age. Looks better. So you can see that minimum value of age is 0. It should not be. Minimum value of age should be what? Tell me. In a loans portfolio, only adults will be getting
21.
the age 18 or
18, sir.
21 or something, depending on the country. Minimum value is 0. And the maximum value of age is coming out to be 109. That is little larger. Maybe maximum value, let us consider as
75.
90, 75. Okay. Or maybe let us be little lenient, maybe 80 we will take. So max age is 80. Now let me do a little drill down in the lower side as well. What is 0.01%? So minimum value is 0, 0.01. 1 percentile is 24. That means 1% of the data is on the lower side outliers. How much of the data is on the higher side outliers? If I take max age is 80, how many are above 80? 3%. Are you with me? Above 80, can I say 3% of the
Yes,
data?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One side of the 1% of the data is below. So if I take max age as 80, 1% outliers on low side. Why I say 1% outliers on low side?
So
0 is
directly from 0 to 24.
yes, 0 to 24. And then how much percent outliers above 80? How much?
3% outliers.
3%
Upper side.
outliers high side. Let us do the same treatment. What should I do the treatment? Overall 4% are outliers. Shall we find the median and replace them with median? That anyway, the technique you know. I'll give you a new technique now. A new, slightly different technique. Different technique to handle age outliers. You know what I'll do? The lower side outliers I'll replace with the minimum value of age. What is the minimum value of age? Loans dot age. Loans dot the minimum value of age after this one. What is the minimum value of age after this? So how do I get to know what is the minimumest of the minimum value after this one? Maybe I will sort the data based on age and then I'll try to check that. Dot sort underscore values. Does that will give you? Minimum is 0. After that, what is the next value? 21. So what I'll do is replace 0 with what? Replace low side outliers with, usually you should
21.
replace with median, but right now we will replace it with what?
Minimum value 21.
Mean value, which is like in this case 21. Now tell me what should I do? Replace high side outliers. That means, can I say anybody below 21 will be replaced with what? Replaced with what?
21.
21.
21.
This is also known as flooring technique. What is it? Flooring.
Flooring.
What is flooring? Flooring means your least value is 21. Anything below that, you just attach to that. Can you do the opposite of it? You have taken max allowed age. Max allowed age is 80.
80.
So what will be your statement? Anybody who
Above it.
is above 80 will be
Replaced with 80.
replaced with 80. This is known as capping. What is capping? Are you getting a hang of capping? What is capping? Anything above 80, I will just replace that with 80. Shall we do this? Flooring and capping. You can also
Yes.
do median. There's nothing wrong. There is only 4% of the issues. Even if you do it with median, that is also fine. The median age, you will get something like 40 or 35. You replace that. That is also fine. Or flooring capping. This is just a different technique. Just for the sake of discussion, I have given it. So let us do flooring. So I will create new variable called loans age new, which will be loans
Age.
age. As it is, I will take age. Now let me do flooring. If age is less than 21, I'm replacing it with 21. Makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Capping. If age is greater than 80, I'll replace it with 80. Now,
Yes,
if
sir.
I try to see age new, and then I would say percentiles, all of these, what that would be? Let me write the code for cleaning in a separate cell.
Hmm.
Age minimum value.
Yes, 21. Not.
Makes sense? Is it
Yes,
the
sir.
rule that you must do flooring and capping always? Not necessarily. Okay. It is just one more way. Like, what is the standard way of dealing with it? If you are not doing flooring capping, what is the other way that you will be doing it with?
Median.
You will
Median.
be doing it like whenever it is less than 21, more than 80, you will replace that with median. That is standard technique that works most of the times.
Sir, it's the
Standard
outlier.
technique.
Can you have tell me that a Z score method or some IQR method? Right now, we are asking this type of methods in the interview are not sufficient for this. This is the quantel. I'm telling the quantel, not accepting sometimes.
No, ignore that totally. Don't get into all that. Okay. Never get into all that. Be extra careful.
Yeah.
Because Z-score method makes sense only if the variable is normally distributed. Are we checking normal distribution of the variables? No. Okay. That is academic method. Stay far away from those academic methods. Are you with me? This is the standard method that companies are using. Are you with me? If
Yes.
somebody pressurizes you like that, what you should say? Maybe they are used. I am not aware of them. In my company, these are the ones like the moment you sound little doubtful about the technique that you are using, that shows that you have not worked on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you learning this and going to interviews? No. How are you going? How are you representing yourself in the interview? Is it your learning experience that you're showing? No. Your working experience. You will say that in my company, we follow these. Maybe there, if you're asking me to follow the Z score, I will follow. That doesn't mean that do not know this or I should, follow whatever you say. Are you with me?
Yes.
Hmm?
Okay.
So the approach that you should follow in the interview is not that if somebody tells us something new, you should not be panicking thinking that how come I'm not aware of it. You should simply say that in my experience, I never got to work on it. But if that is a rule inside your company, I will be following there. For example, in my company right now, we are following, let's say, sensitivity, specificity, precision, recall for model validation. In your company, if you are following different list of measures, that doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong here. Okay. If I'm not following the technique that you're following, it doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. It means that we are following a different technique, which is working best in this particular industry. If you are feeling that you are using a different technique, maybe after getting it there, I will use it. It doesn't mean that we are doing it wrong. Okay.
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yes.
Am I making sense when I say that? All right. Because there are dozens of ways of cleaning the variables. One of the most widely used academic ways, one is Z-score, one is variable transformation. So a lot of people do the transformation, but the thing is that is not accepted everywhere. So the one that is used in the banks is what we are following, and the other techniques we will give respect. But only thing is, if somebody is saying that whatever we are doing is wrong, we should not be accepting it. We should say that it's what I have done. Okay. Any other questions before I go to the next variable? The next variable is debt ratio. What is the issue with the debt ratio? Let us see the percentiles. I will say loans and the debt ratio. Let me use the Gemini to suggest me the code. I will say percentiles for debt ratio. I will say loans data, debt ratio dot quantile. Debt ratio, what are the quantiles? Let us see. Debt ratio means debt to income ratio. So the limits for it is if you have $1,000 or $5,000 debt, if you have $10,000 income, if you have $5,000 debt, $10,000 income, what is your debt ratio? Debt means loans that you have taken. Debt ratio is 50%. So usually
1
debt
by 2.
ratio, usually people tend to keep the debt ratio either 0% or maybe debt ratio will be 10%, or maybe some people will take high debt, maybe 20% or maybe 50%, or maybe if somebody is managing their finances very badly, 100% debt ratio is also possible, but that is extreme. So debt ratio should be between 0 and 1. But if it is going beyond those limits, that means there is something wrong with the debt ratio. So beyond 1, a lot of people are going into debt ratio that are beyond 1. I think we have done the drill down from here on, from 90 percentile onwards, but the debt ratio is going beyond 1 from 80% onwards. So let me say 0 0.8, 0 0.81, 0 0.85, 0 0.87. Roughly, I'm checking all the in-between values. So nearly, in fact, after 70 itself, 0 0.75 also I will check. 0 0.75, 0 0.79, 80%. So roughly I can see 75 is also fine. 79, I think from here on until 75 is fine. Let me put 78 as well in between. 78 percentile. 78 percentile is 1.27. I think beyond 75, roughly around 25% of the data has issues. So 25% issue, 75% clean. What is the technique that we should use? If a lot of data is having issues, there are two things that we do. Tell me what are the two treatments that we do? 25%
Imputation
issue.
and flag indicator.
Flag variable.
So we do, first one is flag. That is the first way in technique. Are we going to stop it there? No, there's one more technique. What is it?
Imputation.
Imputation. The original variable also will be cleaned. So let me go with the flag variable first. Loans. Debt indicator is 1. Wherever if the debt ratio is greater than 1, maybe I will take until 1.5. Maybe sometimes the whole income is not reflected. People will get multiple income streams. So I may have 5,000 regular income, but some other passive income is another 5,000. That's why I have taken a higher debt. So maybe I'll put 1.5. Anything above that, I'll try to keep it as 0. That is one of them. That is indicator variable. Then I will say debt ratio new is debt ratio. Wherever it is greater than 1.5, I'm going to replace it with median. Now, when you do it in this manner, the debt ratio new that you see, and if you try to do describe, minimum value is 0, maximum value is 1.5. That is what we have decided. The whole data is in between. So that is a variable of debt ratio, and the cleaning has been done in 2 steps. Both the variables will be used in the model building.